What's crackalackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And today, we're going to go over my top wide receivers for the 2021 NFL draft class. It's a very, very deep class, very good class. So instead of giving you my top 15 or top 10, I'm going to give you my top 15. Wild, I know. But of course, if you are a Bro Scout tier member, then you're going to get my full rankings, which I think I have about 45 to 50 prospects there. So hang with me after the video. And if you want to see my full rankings on all these position groups, go ahead and become a member. It's the best way to support the channel, but all support is much appreciated, much obliged. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content, and go ahead and indulge. Soak up and enjoy that sweet, sweet football discourse in the comment section below. So we're starting at 1, and it's Ja'Marr Chase, man. And I know some people are like, what the heck, dude? What about the Heisman Trophy winner? Listen, a lot of what Chase and DeVonta Smith do, which, hey, low-key, Smith is going to be number 2, but we'll get to him when we get to him. A lot of what they do, a lot of what they're best at, is their physicality, whether it's at the line of scrimmage or at the catch point. And I'd rather take Chase, who's 20 to 30 pounds heavier than Smith, depending on how they weigh in on at their pro day or the virtual combine. I'd rather go with that translating. You get I think that's a higher percent chance there. But we'll get into Smith when we get into Smith. Chase, he's great at the contested catch point. A lot of people forget how great he was in 2019. You would think distance makes the heart fonder, but that doesn't seem to be the case. A lot of people forget how good he was in 2019. He was 14 to 16 on contested catches. He had 41 plays of 15 plus yards in 2019. He had 22 broken tackles. He's great after the catch, dude. He can stack or cornerbacks at the line with relative ease. Now, the biggest concern for him that people like to nitpick is his speed, but I don't think speed is a concern for him. He dominated a lot of draftable corners in 2019. Trevon Diggs, AJ Terrell, Darion Kendrick, who's probably going to be a first rounder in 2022. I don't think that'll be an issue for him. He isn't necessarily the shiftiest guy, shiftiest athlete in general, and a lot of his production was benefited from just one ludicrous year from LSU there with Burrow and the Justin Jefferson. It was just a crazy offense there at LSU. But I think Ja'Marr Chase definitely is a top 5 prospect in my eyes. That's why he's number 1. Now, number 2, DeVonta Smith, man. Like I said with Chase, at 6'1", 170, a lot of the things that Smith does well, like he has one of the cleanest releases against press. He has ridiculous ball skills, very physical at the catch point. But that size, you worry about, will he be able to translate that to the NFL? And I'm willing to bet that he does. That's why I have a top 10 grade on him as a prospect. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that one bit. Now, his speed and his route running, I wouldn't say it's elite. I think it's pretty darn good, but I wouldn't say it's elite. And again, I'm willing to bet on his size translating. It wasn't a problem in college. I don't think it wasn't a problem in the SEC. I don't think it'll be a problem in the NFL. But a lot of his production was like half of his receptions were screens. He led the country in receptions off screens. So a lot of it was manufactured. Again, I think we're nitpicking here. I mean, Alabama, they were just putting their players, they were just putting their players in the best places to succeed, and you can't fault them for just doing what was asked of him and doing it extremely well. Smith, he's a top 10 pick. I know a lot of people will be like, he was a Heisman Trophy winner. Like, what the heck, man? You should be higher. Like, they're very good prospects. I have a top 10 grade on Smith. You don't see that a lot from receivers. We saw all the top receivers last year fall out of the top 10. Like, get over it. I think he's good too. But I think number 3 was very close, actually. I'm going to have Jaylen Waddle here at 3. Probably right after when my big board comes out, right after DeVonta Smith. I think he's extremely good. he has some scary speed and explosiveness on the line, off the line of scrimmage. And I think that from what we did see, the little we did see, he won't have a problem on the outside if teams want to put him there. The dude's just an elite separator, and I mean, so good of a separator that he doesn't have many contested catches on tape. Like, I think he was 8 of 10 though, so he was still very strong at the catch point when he had to be. But he was an elite player in the slot from 2018 to 2019. Only CeeDee Lamb was the guy that was ahead of him in those categories from the slot, whether it was pass rate and when target in the slot, yards after the catch in the slot. Like, only Lamb was ahead of Waddle. Waddle's extremely good. He did break his ankle earlier this year. Didn't look fully healthy there at the Natty. Hopefully he will be for his pro day. But speaking of, you know, those first 4 games, I think Waddle outplayed Smith. I think that totally true, and it was totally the case. Like, Waddle had much better production while seeing less volume than Smith through the first 4 games. Maybe I'm just making something out of nothing, but I think that's something that should be noted. Teams will be maybe turned off by his size. I doubt it. But the limited sample size, because he didn't see a lot of snaps in 2019, but he was also playing with Judy and Henry Ruggs on top of Devontae Smith, so it's hard to feed everybody. Waddle's phenomenal. Great prospect. Now, I think at 4 here, we see the next tier of receivers, and I think Rashod Bateman is the best by far in that next tier. 6'2", 210, great size. He's great off the line of scrimmage, very good release, very good after the catch. He had 36 broken tackles on 147 career receptions. He could play inside and outside, and in that Minnesota offense, typically they have who they deem the best receiver. They're playing the slot. That's why we saw Tyler Johnson playing in the slot in 2019. And Tyler Johnson, I think in the few opportunities he got to really play this year, he played exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. I don't know what it is about Minnesota like receivers and people not being like, maybe we shouldn't take this guy. Like, because Johnson fell to the 5th round. I believe it was the 5th round, which is ridiculous. And I'm not seeing Waddle inside a lot of people's first round mocks, and I think that's just outrageous. But none of that, like, forget that. This dude attacks the ball in air very well. He's a very smooth route runner. In 2019, he was what was it? He had the 3rd highest rate of plays of 15 yards or more. He wins downfield often. People may want to point to like speed being an issue. Yes, he doesn't really have great top end speed, but he's not slow by any means. And I think if someone's really going to point out maybe some flaws in his game, it might be drops, because he had a 14.3 drop rate. But a lot of them were focus drops, or a lot of them were around the line of scrimmage. You won't see ball skill drops on his tape, so I'm not worried about his hands translating into the NFL. A lot of people last year with Tyler Johnson had the same worry, because when you have that over 10% drop rate, it's a bit worrisome. But for Johnson, a lot of them were focus drops, and a lot of them typically came in bulks. Like, he would go like 4 or 5 games without a drop, and then bam, 4 drops in one game. A lot of them were around the line of scrimmage, so I'm not too worried about it. Rashod Bateman's phenomenal. I'm not in the business of giving comps. I hate giving comps out because people take them too literally. But I would say, man, there's a lot of Keenan Allen-esque to Bateman's game. And I think I even mentioned that in a few of my mocks when I had him before Phillip Rivers retired. And I think I mocked Bateman a few times to the Colts, saying, hey, man, you got Michael Pittman, who's basically Mike Wallace. Why not bring in Keenan Allen and Rashod Bateman? So, again, I think that's a fun comp. And then these next 3 guys I have very close to one another because they're very similar prospects. And that's the thing, man. You're going to rank these guys, just like, it's going to be tough because they all provide a lot of different things. However, I think these next 3 prospects are very similar in what they can do for your offense. And we're going to start with KADARIUS Toney, man. Insane movement and balance on this guy. Like, he really got himself out of situations that seem like, I don't even know how. It's insane. He's so hard to bring down with the ball in his hands. He's just freaky in that way. His ability as a route runner is like high end, dude, high end. This guy can be a very legit route runner. He's just very unpolished, and we kind of saw a bit of that at the Senior Bowl. Speaking of the Senior Bowl, people want to point out, man, he was dropping a lot of passes there at the Senior Bowl. Yes, but he doesn't have a record of dropping passes. Throughout his career, he only had 3 drops on 123 targets. The drops have never been an issue. I'll take the large sample size over like the 16 snaps he saw on one-on-one drills, so enough. And then elite acceleration. He just creates a ton of space underneath, and I think that's where his bread and butter is going to be. Catching something that's maybe like 3 or 5 yards down from the line of scrimmage, and then just plugging on an extra 10 to 20 yards after. Great separation. Didn't run a lot of vertical routes there at Florida, but from what we saw at the Senior Bowl, it's very encouraging. Very good prospect, just weapon in general. You might see the Tyreek Hill comp going around, which is ludicrous. Everyone, like, when you have these top players, man, just people are always trying to find the next Gronk, the next George Kittle or Travis Kelce, and now it's like we got to find the next Tyreek Hill. I mean, there's parts of his game where it's like, oh, it's a bit reminiscent of Hill, but he's not the same prospect Hill was. So. Tranquilo. And then Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss, man, here at 6. Ideal speed and quicks to really play in the slot, and that's where Ole Miss dominantly played him, but he did win on the outside when asked to. He was pretty good against press. He only saw about, 38 to 40 snaps versus press, but he handled it well, so it makes you believe he can play on the outside if you need him to. He can take a licking, man. This guy at the catch point, very solid. Only 10 drops on 200 catchable targets. 18 broken tackles on 86 receptions in 2020, so he can create after the catch. A lot of people will be scared by that 5'9" number, man. Height's going to be a concern. And a lot of his production was, well, a bit schemed. A lot of Ole Miss's production there is schemed thanks to the lane train. But I believe this guy can win and can win on the outside, and I think that makes him a fringe first rounder, so that's why I got the first round grade. And then at 7, I have Rondale Moore, and I have a very, very high second round grade on Rondale Moore. And again, a lot of what he does is similar to what Toney and Moore do, but he's just electric with the ball in his hands, just next level stop and start ability. And the dude is ripped. He is jacked. Like, he is a big and physical 5'9", 180. A lot of people like to throw out the Steve Smith with a little finesse to his game, which I think is fair, because he literally in his freshman season he was just shrugging off contact. However, there's a lot of red flags when it comes to Rondale Moore, because a ton of his production was schemed. Almost half his catches were off screens. His average depth of target was around or barely past the line of scrimmage. They just didn't run a lot of different, they didn't run him in a variety of different ways. They didn't really ask him to go vertical. It was very simplistic in terms of his route tree, kind of just the whole stop, go, slant, screen type of stuff, But I think probably and it's not to say that he can't win in that way. It's just we haven't seen it, which I'm willing to bet that he can win in that way. But I think the injuries, and especially for a guy his size, is the bigger concern. Only played 7 games over the last 2 seasons because of injury. He originally was opted out before deciding to play in 2020, and it took him like 4 or 5 games until he actually played. And he wasn't nearly as impressive as he was in his freshman season. I think he only had 3 forced missed tackles after on receptions this year, which was, for a guy of his caliber, you think, and it should have been a lot more. But Rondale Moore is a special prospect. I'm just not sure if I'm willing to risk a first rounder on him. At least not a mid, maybe a late first round, early second. And that's typically where I have him. And then Terrace Marshall out of LSU, man. 6'4", 200 pounds. Great combination of speed and size. Huge catch radius. He was 25 of 41 on contested catches over the last 2 seasons. And he's got a little shimmy, man. He can make guys miss after the catch. He is still early in his development, though. He's really only starting to break that glass ceiling, you know? He's not a complete prospect by any means. He's still, in terms of his routes, he's not very crisp. He doesn't break. He doesn't break as hard as you'd like. Typically rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at like a post or like these outs and whatnot, it's kind of like you know, instead of bah, if that makes any sense. You know, it's like going around a curb in a car rather than just like a hard right angle. But he will get better. Again, I mean, this was a dude that didn't see a lot. Like he was on the field a lot in 2019, but didn't have a lot of opportunity. And when he did get that opportunity, like he did well this season. Drops did pop up on his on his film this season when it came to the greater having a greater share of the targets there. I think he had like 8 drops, which was similar to what he had in 2019. It's just it came over rather than 16 games, it came or 14 games, it came over 8 games. So maybe a little worrisome, is what it is. But like I said, phenomenal. Like this guy has a lot of tools, you know. So you know, very good class we got a receiver. Or yeah, very good class we have here, and put a guy of his caliber at 8, I think really speaks to how good this class is. TYLAN Wallace, man, he is my last second rounder here. So probably a late second, early third. But I was so high on Wallace going right before the 2019 draft. He had that ACL tear, but I mean, I don't think he's by no means. There's no injury concerns there. It's just you kind of expected him to come back for this year. I mean, he's an incredible vertical threat. Like he's just explosive off the line of scrimmage, and he attacks the ball very well in air. He has some very highlight catches on his tape. 43 contested catches throughout his career. I've seen people throughout the James Washington comp, which is fair. They came from the same scheme, same system, same college actually. So, but I think Washington's like 2 inches taller and a little heavier. I think almost 20 pounds heavier. But the thing is, man, I think Wallace really expanded his route tree this year, man. They really started using him a variety of different ways. Like it wasn't just your normal go slant screen type of like route tree. Like he started doing there was more nuance in what Oklahoma State was asking him to do. Now, being in the Big 12, you don't see press. You don't see press hardly ever. That's just how it is. Because in the high-scoring Big 12, you're typically going to have to run a lot of zone if people are going to have 4 to 5 receivers. You know, he doesn't really handle physicality pretty well on the routes. Like if someone gets their hands on him, it's really jarring. So there is that. But I mean, for a guy that you'd be willing to take somewhere in the mid to late second round, totally fine. Like, again, this is a big play waiting to happen. I really like TYLAN Wallace here. And then starting in the third round, I got Dyami Brown out of North Carolina, man. One of the most physical receivers in this class, despite the lack of size, only being 185. But he got some, like we talk about Devontae Smith's releases. He's got some very clean releases his own right. He showed great speed because he was mainly used as a vertical threat there at North Carolina. I mean, his average depth of target was like almost 20 yards, but he can create after the catch as well. He can create after contact. He's fast. Overall, as an athlete, though, again, he was really just used as a vertical threat. But as a general athlete, you know, I think he's good, not great. But But I mean, dude, he has a skill set that translates well. He just does. Being able to get off the line versus press is huge. He's got very good speed. He's got a phenomenal, he's got a very expanded vertical route tree. So you just know this guy can come in and immediately contribute. And then at number 11, I bet you not many people are going to have this guy that as high as I do. I'm in love with Josh Palmer, dude. When it came to the Senior Bowl, because I was like, man, this is a guy you got to watch, man. Got to watch, because he wasn't given a lot of opportunity there at Tennessee, because, gosh, Tennessee quarterback play just sucked. I don't think it's getting any better with Hooker, sorry. But, yeah, he really suffered from bad quarterback play. He never eclipsed 500 yards in a season there at Tennessee. And more so in 2018 and 2019, he was stuck behind Jawan Jennings and Marquez Callaway, who both are now in the NFL, kind of, practice squads. But Palmer is fantastic, dude. He had the second highest win rate at the Senior Bowl, 81%, while also running the most snaps during one-on-one drills. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous win rate. I mean, typically one-on-one drills with wide receivers versus DBs, it's gonna favor the receiver. You know, that's where receivers go to showcase. But I mean, at that level, I think is very good in terms of size, athleticism, and just ball skills. I think he can be near the top of this class. It's just there is parts of his game that need developed. And again, you worry about the production, though, and a lot of it was on the quarterback. But he can develop better as a route runner, but I think he's much better than most people, most people give him credit for. Like he looked pretty crisp running at the Senior Bowl, I thought. Again, I got a third-round grade on him. I'm going to take a shot on a guy that's 6'1", 210 with his type of athleticism. I love it. I'm loving it. I love you. I love you, Josh Palmer, man. Maybe it's just a Tennessee thing. I really liked Jawan Jennings last year, too. And then 12, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. A lot of people are going to think, hey, this is very low for him. I don't think so, because kind of his MO is he is good at everything, but not great at anything. Like, there's not one like trait there for him to, or one thing that he does exceptionally well that he could hang his hat on. Outside of being an extremely crafty route runner, that's probably the biggest thing. But he runs one of the most complete route trees of anyone in this class. He has experience on the inside and the outside, while like on the outside he hasn't necessarily looked like it was good. It was quality. He showed he can do it. I wouldn't say he can do it at like a high end, but he can do it. Displayed very good vertical ability, which is a lot of people are going to question his ability to be a vertical threat. I think he did a good job of that in 2019 from the slot, because 5 of his 6 touchdowns came on passes of 20 yards or more. He was 5 of 6 on contested catches of 20 yards or more. So I think he's displayed that, man. Tremendous route runner. He's really good at making the first guy miss. And I mean, on the outside, you wonder, will he be an elite separator because of the okay speed? I think he can be. But I mean, overall, like, he's very good. He's just a good prospect. Like, I don't think anyone that gets him on day 2, they're losing out. Like, you know, okay, we're gonna hit on this pick. Even if he's just a quality number 2 or slot guy at the next level, this is like almost a guaranteed hit. Almost. Gotta say almost, because not everything's a guarantee. And then at 13, I have Cade Johnson out of South Dakota State. You may not love the size, but he's probably going to be one of the highest after those, like after Toney and Rondale and Elijah Moore off the board. He's probably going to be that next slot receiver to really, well, depending on how you see him on Ross St. Brown, but that next like slot receiver to go off the board, man. He had the highest win rate. I think it was like 88% in drills there at the Senior Bowl. I mean, given his size, he also has short arms, but he has unusually big hands, which is probably why he was like bringing in every catch. Kind of makes sense. But you wonder, will he be able to get off the line of scrimmage there on the outside in the NFL? So you might just see him as a slot guy, but he's super quick. He goes from 0 to 100 in a blink of an eye, almost immediately. He's only faced career snap-wise 61 versus press. So you just wonder, can he play on the outside? But you know you're getting a very good slot receiver here at the very least. K. Johnson had himself a day or I guess a whole week at the Senior Bowl. And then Jalen Darden, man. I think he could go higher. I think he could go second round, but man, it's going to take a team that's like, yeah, I mean, no one wants to grab the 5'9" kid out of North Texas. But hey, man, and I hate that everyone makes this comparison to Darnell Mooney, because like I see it, I understand it, and parts of it is accurate, but it's just Mooney can play on the outside, and I just can't say that for Darden. So let's just go ahead and let's really just get into Darden. Dude's ridiculously shifty, and it's like he makes moves and doesn't really lose speed. Like just very fast. 23 broken tackles on 74 catches. He, again, game-breaking athleticism, and he just destroyed lesser competition, man. The small catch radius, the small size, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt his stock. Just gonna say, he's never gonna be a contested catch guy. He was, I think, 0 of 9 in 2020 on contested catches, but that's not why you're getting him. You know you're getting an elite separator, but he just doesn't get off the line like Mooney, man. Mooney's a guy that's very shifty, man. It's hard for guys to touch him at the line, so he gets those clean releases. I'm not sure Darden can do that. I think you're getting a very good vertical slot receiver that maybe, I don't see it. So I see where people say Mooney because of the size and because of where he went, but I think they're a bit different in that aspect. It's just me. Honestly, you might be dealing with more of a KJ Hamler at this point. And then F15, my last one, unless you're a bro scout tier member, then you're going to hang with me. We got a lot of guys to go over. Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. He had himself a Senior Bowl. He made himself some money. But the thing is, the dude is a bit older, 24 years old, so you got to wonder, is this the guy who's going to be? There's not going to be much more development, or maybe he is a guy that can get a bit better. A lot of people, man, I saw Twitter blowing up, man. Oh, man, Tyreek killed V2. Nah, calm down. Reel that back. This is why I don't like comps. But I see why people would say that. Blazing speed, super slippery off the line of scrimmage. I think he can play on the outside. He's a proven deep threat there at Western Michigan. Just didn't face anyone that was, I guess you'd say, in his class, anyone that could really touch him from just from a prospect standpoint, man. He wasn't playing other guys he's going to see later in the NFL. Senior Bowl, though, it's what did his stock a world of help, man. But you got to understand, again, those drills, they're made for these receivers, especially these quicker, more explosive receivers. They're made for those guys to look good. He ran a name of the game, very limited route tree there at Western Michigan, mainly just goes, slants, posts, the occasional zip. So this is my biggest problem. You're playing at Western Michigan, you're not playing great competition. He just goes down after contact. I think he only had like forced missed tackles in 2020. And I remember, because I was talking to Snorkel, one of the subscribers, because he's a really good evaluator in his own right, and he was very high on Eskridge. And I remember right before the Senior Bowl, I was like, man, I just don't see it. This guy almost always goes down after contact. I just don't see it. I don't get it. I don't understand why people have him so high. And then I got to see him, in drills. Again, drills designed to make these guys look good. So I'm a bit more behind him now, but I'm not willing to see like I saw some mocks after the Senior Bowl overreacted, man. I saw him in the first round. I definitely think he could sneak into like day 2, maybe even late second round. But I think for now, I'm gonna have a 4th round grade on him. I think he's a good place to. That is a good place for like at the end of the 3rd round or maybe the beginning of the 4th. It's a good place for him in this class. Considering things are a bit more compressed in the NFL. You're not gonna have essentially the type of space that you're afforded in college. So he is gonna have to be able to take on hits a bit better, and he didn't at Western Michigan, and that's my big concern. Overall, very good prospect. But that's it for the video, unless of course you're gonna be here for the rest of the rankings if you're a Bro Scout tier member. But as always, until next time, UBs, my friends. Later.